Hi, this is Sara Licht, and this video is going to be about the value of being present with your horse, or any horse. And I'll also give some examples of stories where horses showed me the value of this. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to share a tool to help clear the things that make it difficult for us to be present, our judgments or traumas or beliefs, things like that. And also just a few tips on meditating, if you care to add that to your life. Because the more that we work on ourselves, I don't like to call it work, but the more that we learn to be kind and honest to ourselves, with ourselves, in the kind way, not of being a judgmental honesty to ourselves, it can change your relationship with your horse. All right. One of the most recent and profound examples of the value of being honest with horses, I experienced with this very sensitive Mustang I was working with. So during this time, I was in a relationship where there was a lot of drama, a lot of fighting. I would get triggered and just really be reactive. Not something that I feel good about. And then, daily life, it's like, okay, I've got to go to this appointment. And so sometimes I would have been fighting on the way there and then just realize, like, okay, I need to get in a good space. I love my life. I love my work with horses. And so on this particular day, I showed up to work with the Mustang, and she was very far away across the arena. And I, try to brush off the negative residue and just, feel grateful. And I say, hi, how are you? Would you like to do some fun stuff today? And I kind of picturing talking to her what we could do. And she just stayed as far away from me as she was and just stared at me. She didn't come over. Now, she wasn't necessarily one that was always just going to walk up and be easy to catch. But I just kind of was aware that I should do some honesty reflecting, because ironically, in that current relationship, I was begging him for self-reflection and honesty, because when he wasn't honest with himself about how he was feeling or whatever, why he was doing whatever that was making me feel like, oh, this is not comfortable, I was explaining to him how honesty, like being honest with yourself, makes me feel like I trust you, even if it's not a happy thing, even if it's just honesty about, like, I'm having a really tough day, or I don't know what to do about this, instead of just, let's shove something under the rug, put on a happy face. So I just stood there at the gate, far away from the Mustang, and I said, you're right. I had a really tough day, and it's like this, and I'm kind of worried about this, and it's true, I'm really happy to be here, but yeah, I was like this. And she, after I did that, she walked halfway across the arena towards me. And then at that point, she could choose to go towards her friends where they were eating hay. They were doing free choice hay, which was really nice. Or she could come towards me. And then I thought, well, let's keep going. So then I said, oh yeah, and I have worries that maybe I can't help you get over your high sensitivity. And what if I can't? Or what if your person, your owner, wonders if she's wasting her money? What if I'm not going to be able to help you? And I just came up with everything that I could just admit and be honest with myself about. And she immediately made a beeline and walked over and pressed her chest against the fence to be as close to me as she could. And it was so beautiful. She was saying, now we're ready to start. You're ready. So, of course, if you've done any training with horses or working with horses, or maybe just observing trainers, I think, well, at least I'll just speak for myself, that when our egos show up, the training kind of goes down a little bit, gets a little bit not as pure, not as great, because we're not as present. This is even just with a video camera on, I've noticed that, because now instead of just me and the horse, I have a little bit of my awareness thinking, oh, what will someone think if they see this? Will they understand, or will they judge me? Will they assume, should I explain it? So there's a part of my attention is not with the horse and the present moment of what's happening, but it's also kind of floating to the future about who's going to see this or whatever. Same thing with a client watching. I love inviting my clients to watch, because there's so many really exciting things, little details that the horse says, and it's a conversation, and I like sharing all these things, and it's very different, a little bit different at least, of just being with the horse. So and that's not, not to say anything's wrong about that, it's just something to be aware of, that okay, wait, is my ego getting in the way here of, like, I'm worrying about what's that person going to think, or I want to, instead of, oh, I just thought of another example that felt really good. I'm going to share it. Let's see. Well, first, let me just talk again about another example of being present with horses and being honest with ourselves of where we're at. So I have a young horse, Rihanna, and she's really interesting. She's a purebred Arabian, and I don't find that she's scared. She's dramatic. She likes to express things, but she just has a kind of an inner confidence also. So she can be reactive. But I've noticed she's so sensitive. So back when I was in this tumultuous relationship that was very, very good for fast track of growth and learning about myself. Same thing, I'd go to the barn and be like, okay, I gotta do this and work with her. And with Rihanna, just even a simple, like lunging her, if I was, it's kind of, you're just going around, I'm watching things, but maybe part of me was just kind of like, has that like negative residue of like, he said this, and she would be like a different horse. She, canter transition, So I was like, wow, what is going on? And I check in with myself. Oh, okay. And then if I just be a little bit like, hey, you're right, I have that going on in here. I'm honest with her, to acknowledge that, like, yeah, okay, you sense this in me. It's true. So then she would shift, and she'd be like, okay. So she's really like a great barometer. Okay, so on this topic, my next thought comes like in that situation. I was like, oh great, I have this super ultra sensitive horse. I can't get away with anything if I'm not present, but like I don't think she expects me to be perfect, but honest, and that's just the difference of it. So sometimes I hear people say that maybe they're not super familiar with horses. They'll say, oh yeah, because they can sense your fear, right? And I say, well, they can sense how you feel, but they're not malicious. They're not like looking for somebody to take advantage of because they know that you're afraid or you're inexperienced. I would say that horses, they're sensitive, and they want, sorry, I just got distracted by my notes. They want, like, if you're not confident, but then you're feeling like you should be confident, but you're not, like, they just wouldn't sense that you're necessarily a great person to put their confidence in as somebody to take care of them. So a horse wants to be a leader or be with a leader, like someone who's gonna look out for them and so they can relax and feel safe and confident and like, okay, I'm with you. So a lot of the groundwork and just a lot of the different things, what we're doing is having a conversation to say, hi, I'm consistent, I'm fair, and I'm in charge here. Let me be the leader, and you can relax, and this is how it is. And then, you know, when we make sense to the horse, they're like, okay, cool. And then, of course, also we express our gratitude and our love for them. They feel that. So, so I don't think that they sense fear. And I guess if there was someone who wants to be with horses, but they're like, oh, they sense fear, and I'm not. I do feel afraid, but I'm drawn to horses. Maybe we're going to do some tapping on the end of this video, and we can clear some of that stuff if I remember to tap on that topic. But I would suggest that just to be real with yourself and say, hey, you know what? I do feel a little nervous here. And you can say that to the horse, you know, it's true, I do feel nervous here. And then you could ask your, like, obviously, please use your good discernment with if you should be on a horse or not. Like, if is this a safe horse for me to ride? Can this horse take care of me if I'm a beginner? You can also ask your body about that. Like, hey, body, or ask the horse, like, hey, will you take care of me? Is this going to be, you know, if we do this? Or ask your body, is this a good idea? In addition to choosing people that you trust who are going to connect you with horses. There was the one other an example that popped into my head where I was able to, I guess this isn't really about kind of being present, yeah, but also overriding the ego of what is everyone going to think. So there was a driving, a horse show, and in this show they had some driving classes, and one of the classes was where you line drive your horse. You're walking behind your horse, and they've got a full harness on with the blinker bridle, and you have to go through obstacles, and it's a timed event. Go over a bridge, cross a water, I don't know if there was water, do different challenges. So I had one of my dad's horses, and when we got to the bridge, she was scared. So keep in mind, it's like, tweet, timer's ticking, go, 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 go. You know, you're trying to get as many of the obstacles for points in the set amount of time that you can. So when she got to the bridge, she was really, really like, what is this? And I chose to pretend like this is me all alone training her. So instead of pushing her, come on, you can do it, and try to get her lined up, come on, go, 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 I had her turn and face the bridge, and I just breathed, and I just let her look at it, and I waited for her to kind of calm down. And I knew that my dad and other people watching were probably like, oh my God, what's going on? Doesn't she know this is a timed event? You know, why is she even trying to get her horse over this if the horse can't do it, or what, you know? But I was just able to like be with the horse and be like, you know what? I'm going to put the experience of this horse in front of what somebody else might think about me. And I just waited, and she kind of like considered, but then she was kind of worried. I waited, and so I gently asked her, said, hey, can you cross this? And then here's the animal communication trick, right? I picture her going across it, and I picture it as if it's me feeling like I'm the horse crossing the bridge. And so when I'm imagining this, I'm imagining, wow, I'm just walking over this and I feel okay. That's my animal communication tip. So we did that, and it took a little while, and she crossed the bridge. And then tweet, you know, time's up. So we didn't score very high points. And then later in that day, you did the same obstacle course, but with your horse in a cart. And she actually, you know, when we got to the bridge, she said, oh, I know this. I can do this. And she hardly skipped a beat, and we just crossed that bridge. So what was really neat is I just felt so good about that, and honoring her, and being able to just be like, you know what, I might get questioned or ridiculed, but I really care about the horse. I care about their experience. And I know that strengthening like her trust in this relationship, the best that I can in this moment, totally is a great investment. And then of course, don't you know, I just said, don't you know, some people came up to me individually and they said, I want to thank you. I really appreciated seeing how you took your patience with that horse. So later in the event, like a lot of people, they got to the bridge, same thing, their horses wouldn't cross, and it was like, come on, come on, come on. And then, the horse kind of went on and then crashed everything down because they just couldn't do it, and then they were really afraid of it. So it was an example of, well, you get it. So I seem to, when I hear of concepts, I really like to connect the dots and go, wait, how can I apply this to this scenario? How can I apply this? And so like I try to imagine, oh, that's how that could work, or oh yeah, that's like this one time. So I am going to be sharing some stories, and I hope that those are a way that you can have ideas about how to apply things that might be helpful with your relationship with horses or animals, and even with people. So, okay, so let's do this long video. Let's do the tapping. Okay, so I'm going to have to make another video about tapping because it's so awesome. It's called EFT, like Emotional Freedom Technique, tapping, or just called tapping. There are bazillion videos on YouTube about doing this, and you can follow along. Basically, we're stimulating acupressure points and clearing trapped energies. So what's interesting is that I also found out I can do it for other people and for horses remotely, and it quite often works to like release this stuff. So then when we release it, whatever the trapped stuff was, it can just dissipate, and then you see the difference in the horse, and you feel the difference in yourself. Okay, so this is going to be sort of like a quick thing. You can follow along, and if whatever issue I'm talking about to clear doesn't really match with your issue, it's not going to hurt you to tap along and say it. Like sometimes if somebody has a headache, I'm just like, oh, this terrible headache, oh, my head's killing me. And it doesn't like do anything bad for me. It actually can clear my own stuff on a totally different topic just from doing this, which I always wondered why that was, but I think it's just because just the general energetic component of whatever the resistance is probably is pretty similar across the board. Okay, are you ready? So here's tapping. So we'll tap on being afraid of horses and maybe not being able to be present, and our judgments about I'm not a good enough person for my horse, or something like that. Okay, so the beginning part is my hand that had a little accident. I'm going to tap here on the karate chop point with a couple fingers, and this is called the setup statement. So you can just follow along and say it. I'm not going to, maybe I'll stop explaining. We'll just do it, okay? Even though I have these fears about not being good enough, about not being able to be present, about my life is such a wreck, how can I even be there for my horse? Even though I have all these feelings and all these fears that come up, I love and accept myself. Okay, say that 2 more times. Even though I have all these fears and all these issues and all these things that come up for me, I love and accept myself. Even though I have all these fears and all these feelings that come up, that get in the way of who I truly would love to be, and I just feel like I'm not good enough, I love and accept myself. Okay, that's the setup statement. Now we're going to tap on the points, and we're going to say the yuck, say the bad stuff, say the stuff that we really judge ourselves for. Don't worry, it's going to get better. If some stuff comes up for you while we're tapping through this and it's still there, keep tapping on the points until it subsides, because it will. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, all these fears. I just have this kind of fear of horses. Oh, I just don't know. They're so big and strong. And that one time that terrible accident happened, I'm never the same. I just don't know if I can trust horses. All these fears, all these feelings. Oh, I got all these feelings about maybe I'm just not good enough. I'll never be as good as such and such person. And here I am just comparing myself to everybody. So I'm not feeling good. And I thought I was going to do horses because that's where my joy is. But now I don't even know where my joy is. Sorry to laugh. All these fears, all this stuff that comes up. Oh, and now I'm supposed to be present and honest with my horses, but I can't. I don't know. And all the things that come up, just gonna let those go. All these fears, all these worries, all these things about my inner sneaky subconscious message of I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. It just keeps showing up. And I don't know what to do. Sometimes I get so frustrated. Letting go of all these fears. Letting go of all these fears and all these judgments. What if I could just be kind to myself? Who am I kidding? I can't be kind to myself. Look at you. Look at me. Letting all these fears and judgments go. Wow, it's cool. It's I know that it's shifting stuff. How are you doing? Hope you're feeling good. You can keep tapping. I know that it's shifting stuff because when I can't think of anything to say, it's like it's gone. It's already gone. Okay, so that's kind of it. And then, like I typically do, there's a step in the beginning where you want to rate how you feel from a scale of 1 to 10, so that after you tap, you can say, oh, how do I feel now? So, how are you doing? Did anything shift? The last part in this long video, I'm going to talk about just meditation tips. So this is hilarious for me to share meditation tips. But I do know some tips on being kind to yourself. And so I think it's really related. There's a fly. Come here, buddy. So, okay. If you don't judge yourself, you can get a great benefit from just being still for a little bit, like meditating. If you're like gonna try to meditate, or you're gonna meditate, but what you're doing is like, oh, I don't know how to do this good, or I'm such a terrible meditator, or oh, great, that was useless. Oh, I'm not getting, like, you're still judging yourself, and that's not kind. If you want to do it, it's up to you, but like, let me just please suggest, what if your only job was to just be a little bit more kind to yourself? And that means I see the things that I'm not happy with about myself, or I see the things that I think, ugh. I see it, and I even see myself judge myself. And there's a part that's kind of like, and that's okay. Okay? So that's really kind. And a lot of times our animals, I think that they really wish that we would be kinder to ourselves. And when we're more kind, we can be more present. Okay, so meditation, here are my tips. Because it's so funny, because I've only just like started sort of meditating maybe in the last year, after planning on it, thinking about it for 20 years, writing it down on my to-do list, start a meditation practice, right? So 20 years later, I've started doing it. And I use the same technique as I did for like learning guitar, which is don't beat yourself up about it, okay? So maybe you're just going to set a timer for 5 minutes and just get comfortable and breathe. And notice your breathing. And you can close your eyes if you want. And the mind is going to say things. The mind is going to come up with stuff to think about and go. It's going to be like, ah, la, la, la. And when that happens, do not judge yourself. When that happens, just try to just notice it and go, oh, wow, I just got to carry down that whole thing thinking about my laundry and then this and what about that. Oh, but here I am back. Oh, yeah, I'm meditating. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Now let me focus back on my breath. So you're doing that, and you can deep belly breath, and maybe we'll do some more videos in the future about like guided things that can maybe help. But it's okay to just sit and be with yourself and breathe, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I guess those are my tips. Don't judge yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. When the thoughts come up, just go, oh, hello, there's the thoughts, and then just go back to your breathing. And then more thoughts are going to come up, go back to your breathing. Cool. So the value of meditating or being kind or being present or honest with ourselves or tapping can be that the more we become, like loving yourself, loving who you are, comfortable in your own skin, okay with our imperfections, okay with, that we can be that kindness to horses. And in fact, we can be it more to everyone. So the work starts from within. Yeah. All right. Please be safe with your horses. Have an intention for safety if you like that. And have fun. And I will check in with you later. Bye.